Okay, enough. So I've been trying to find a microphone that actually works. So could somebody let me know if this sounds okay or if it's all muffled and stupid? Trying to figure out if this is an option or if I have to toss this one as well. Anything? Can you hear me? Does it sound muffled? I hate muffled. It's not bad. Does that mean it's not good too? I'm trying to see if there's a. Oh, I guess that's a. The volume's all the way up. Okay, it sounds good because I did it a while back and I listened back on it and it sounded horrible on a different headset. Well, yeah, and it was just terrible and hollow sounding. Yeah. I guess I can just yank it. Then I'll just use the laptop mic, but I don't think my laptop mic's any better. Why is it so hard in 2025 to get a decent microphone? Like everything sounds like shit. So I was gonna look at as a lot of you know, I just sort of jot down notes every now and again, and usually it's just like one word, and then when I go back and I look at everything, it's like I don't remember what that meant. But I've noticed there's a lot of weird stuff going on online with people. Like I think they've gone crazy. People don't seem to have any level of discernment anymore. Like you can show them something that's, I mean, to me, it's like super obvious, and they just don't see it or they don't care. I don't know if it's just people are like so wrapped up in their own little gay little world, or if they really are stupid and just can't. Like the moon. I've been talking to some people about the moon for quite a while now about its behavior and how it's just nuts. And like the other night, so I was watching the moon. I told you it was rising in the east, which is, normal. But the time frame of when it would rise would vary from night to night, and it wasn't just like an hour. Sometimes it would be 3 or 4 hours. I'd see the moon in the southern sky at like 10:30 at night, and then the next night at like 1 in the morning, it wouldn't have even risen yet. I mean, it was like it's being super weird. Uh, and then what we noticed was like, okay, so the moon, when it finally does rise, if it goes west, sometimes it doesn't, and that's another thing that's really weird. But if it kind of acts a little bit normal, like it rises in the east and starts, rises up and then starts going to the west, when it hits due south, and I'm pretty sure this is how it's working right now. It's not acting weird until it hits literally due south, and then the face of the moon starts to rotate clockwise. So it'll look the same from the horizon to due south, and then once it hits due south and keeps moving west, it'll start rotating, um, which is extremely bizarre. Never used to do that. But so the other night, what happened the other night? Well, a while back, like it was taking forever to rise, and then when it would, instead of going to the west, it would go straight up, and nobody seems to care that the moon just randomly chooses when to rise and what direction to go, and that it's spinning clockwise now. But nobody cares. But I just saw it the other night, and it was again something was wrong with it, and I'm trying to remember what it was now. Yeah, I see it do so many weird things now when I notice it, because like I was out in one of my shipping containers like late at night, putting shelves together in the dark. Well, I mean, I had the headlamps and there's lights inside the shipping container, but it was like dark out, and I saw the moon, and something about it was like, oh, it's doing something stupid again. But I don't necessarily remember what it was. I think it was just in the wrong position again. Like it didn't make sense anyway. But you point these things out to people, nobody cares. Um, they don't see it. So, what are you going to do? The other thing I noticed about people, the only thing I ever look at online is YouTube, because I do play videos usually in the background while I'm doing stuff, and I listen. I try and find long ones so that there's a lot of content. I don't have to stop what I'm doing and find another video. There's a lot of talk about um, Trunk, obviously, but there's something wrong with him. Well, here's something I'll kind of stray off, but it's still about Trunk. I saw somebody was saying it's crazy the stuff that people come up with, and who knows, could be true. I don't know. I'm not making any claims, but they're saying that like the real Donald Trump died in a helicopter accident in 1989, and it's been like a double ever since then. And who knows? Maybe, I don't know. It's not. I mean, I can't say yes or no. It's not definitive. Nobody knows. But let's just say the real Trunk did perish in a helicopter accident. What was that? 36 years ago. At this point, the Trunk that we have, if it's the guy for 36 years, it's basically Donald Trump at this point. It's sort of like the fake Paul McCartney. The Paul McCartney died in 1966. Okay, well that was 59 years ago. So at this point, the Paul McCartney we have is Paul McCartney. Even it's not the same, but the Paul McCartney we have now is pretty much the only Paul McCartney most people have ever known. So it's Paul McCartney at this point. But so let's say it is Trunken or it's not. I don't know. I do look, if you look back on videos of him from like the 80s, it does seem like a different guy. Granted, like I said, 36 years ago or plus, because it was mid 80s or whatever when a lot of this footage of Trunk from the 80s. He does seem kind of like a different person, but he's a lot older now, so who knows? But he seems a lot less like 80s Trunk was like, daddy's rich, I'm just gonna have fun. He's like always like shucking and having a good time. The more recent Trunk is like, seems like kind of Biden-ish. His last alleged term, he was a little more animated, but that kind of gets to the point where a lot of people now are saying that basically he's dying. I do know he's got like the cankles, and he's got the makeup. He's got the big giant bruise on the back of his right hand is the only one I've seen it on, and but sometimes tries to cover it up with makeup. But I mean, it's so ludicrous that like someone with his wealth, and especially being the president, you could have that blended into where you would not notice. But it's like a big square that's like a completely different shade of skin tone, just blatantly obvious. That leads me to think that this might be an act. I think they might be setting up the death and resurrection of Trunk. Um, he does say really stupid things, goes off topic, lies all the time, but I mean, he's always been like that. That's not new. Um, people are like, oh, look, he's like, he doesn't know this, he doesn't know that. I'm like, he never knew that. He's always been like an idiot. But the fact that they're really pushing, I mean, the Cankles thing, that could be padding. Like, I think they're kind of pushing a narrative that he's super ill. And then just out of left field, JD Vance, who, if you look into JD Vance, it's quite frightening. We're pretty screwed no matter how you look at it. JD Vance wanted to be a, what do you call him? Drag queen? I guess he failed at it. His mentor is a sodomite, gave him a ton of money. Kind of makes you wonder what he had to do to get that money. His mentor also admittedly drinks children's blood. I mean, the whole thing is a mess. So all these people wishing death upon Trump, it's like, his replacement's probably worse. At least with Trump, you kind of know what you got. You can, if you just fake flatter him, he gets all happy and forgets. He doesn't, With JD Vance, I think he's kind of a loose cannon. Not really sure but he just came out and said something like, "Oh, President Trump's in great health, but God forbid something were to happen, I'm ready to step in as president," which is just a ridiculous thing to say. And like, there's no reason to say that unless they're setting up a narrative. So I think that the Cankles, the really bad makeup job on his hand, and then of course he shows up at something and doesn't have the makeup on, and it's just a giant bruise. It almost looks like they just mimicked the bruising that Queen Elizabeth had on her hand right before she died. Like, it almost looks like the exact same shape. Like, they literally copied it. I just, to me, it seems like they're trying to set up a narrative that if they announce he's gone, people won't be shocked. And a lot of people like, yeah, we saw the signs. I mean, look, his ankles are swollen. He had the bruising on his back, all the stuff. So, but I think that they could set it up to where he, quote unquote, passes away and it's verified. Doctors come on and say, yeah, well, he had this, and they might, I don't know. I think they're going to make it because the Butler, Pennsylvania thing is so badly executed. How anybody thinks that was a real event is mind blowing. They got to do a lot better job. But I think, I mean, if they play this right, if they know what they're doing, they're going to fake his death, and then he's going to return, like he's going to be resurrected basically, and then that gives him the Messiah vibes, because there's already a lot of midwits out there that think that Trump is the chosen one, and so if he were to die and then come back 3 days later, because of course it would be 3 days later, I think if they really wanted to play it, like if they wanted to go all in, if he, quote unquote, was resurrected by God to, because he's so important, he should come back with a eye patch on his right eye, like a pirate patch. I mean, if you're really going to do it right, I think you should. If they do fake the death and resurrection thing, I think he has to come back with a pirate patch on his right eye. I mean, why wouldn't he? But I mean, that's wishful thinking on my part. I can't imagine that he would come back with an eye patch. That would require more of an assassination versus like heart attack or something like that. Which again, I wouldn't put it past them, because like I said, the Butler PA thing was so poorly done. Like, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but the Secret Service does a lot of stuff. Their prime job is counterfeit money. But as a Secret Service agent, if you get assigned to the presidential detail, that's like huge. Like that's kind of the feather in the cap when you're not looking for fake 20s anymore. Now you're literally guarding the president. If you look at some of those clowns that were part of his security detail, no way, zero chance that those people were like, they were so good at their jobs. They're like, we're going to move you over to presidential detail. I mean, that whole thing was done so poorly that I almost think that it was just to get people to think, oh, they're after him, so that when they do quote unquote really go after him, and they'll have to do a lot better job, the people are going to believe it. Like, and like I said, it may even be done like they would shoot this like ahead of time. It would be like a movie. They would have the special effects and the blood and all that, and then they would, portray it as a live event, and all these people saw it. Oh, his head blew off like Kennedy, that kind of thing. And then he returns, but he's got to have the eye patch. If he doesn't come, if they fake it and he doesn't come back with the eye patch, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. I don't think we're getting our money's worth. But let's see what. Let me start looking at some of these. So kind of related to that. So a lot of people are fed up with Trump. Um, is this what you voted for? This isn't what I voted for. And it's like, okay. And they're pushing like, oh, Gavin Newsom, for 2028 and this and that. And it's kind of mind blowing that in 2025, people haven't figured out that voting isn't real. I mean, should be like baby truther 101. Like, knowing that voting is 100% fake, staged, and not real, and that your vote doesn't count, and they throw it in the trash as soon as you walk out of the voting booth. It's like knowing that they faked the moon landing. I mean, this is not difficult stuff, and it's always been this way. People like, and I'm talking like federal for sure, state probably, county probably to a degree, especially in some places. City elections, that kind of stuff. They might count your vote. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But definitely on the federal level, 100% without a doubt. People are like, how did a convicted felon? He didn't. You don't understand. People don't. The main problem is people don't understand how this realm operates. I think that covers like a wide area of people who are confused and don't or believe the false narrative. They just don't understand how things run here. But like, this isn't new. Like voting, okay, you'll see people every now and again, especially like on a comment, a woman says something, and like you'll see like, this is why the 19th Amendment should be repealed. And for those of you who don't know, for whatever reason, the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. Now, nobody mentions this. Okay, so women, it was like up for vote. It was like on the ballot, like, can women vote? Realize at the time that vote took place, only men could vote, and it passed. I don't know. I don't think I have to go into much detail or go any further on that. At a time when only men could vote, the vote for women voting passed. Okay, so this is nothing new. All right. But people in 2025, they're still talking about the 2020 stolen election. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable that people think that the election was stolen. And you don't even have to like dig deep. Like, look, the people that control this realm hate you and want you dead. They're poisoning your food, poisoning the water, they're poisoning the air, they're giving you injections to kill you. Everything everything. They're poisoning you in every way. They basically boot stomp you from like cradle to grave. They lie to you about everything: history, politics, health. Everything is a lie. Space, all of it. And people think that the one place where they're not lying and they really want you to voice your opinion and get what you want is voting. The people that want you dead are going to be like, oh, you know what? We really wanted so and so, but the people voted for the other guy, so gotta give them to them. That's how dumbed down people are at this point. To think that the controllers that want you dead, or at the very least, an indentured slave for the rest of your life, just happen to want to, give you a choice in how things run. I mean, are you kidding me? That's like basically where we're at now. What do we got here? Let's see. Hold on. Oh, Seamus is gonna have to watch the replay. Well, the replay will be probably just as bad as the live. Let's see. Check some of the. I gotta check this stuff off my list, or I'll repeat it. The voting and the 19th Amendment gone. J.D. Vance. What did I have to say about him? I think I did. He's a failed drag queen. His mentor is a sodomite that drinks children's blood. Makes a comment that he'd make a great president if, God forbid, something were to happen to Trump. I think that's pretty much. I don't know how. He's another one of these actors that are just like plucked out of central casting and placed, probably groomed their entire life and then placed into a position. And nobody had ever heard of him. Like nobody knew who J.D. Vance. Nobody had ever heard of Obama. No clue. Just boom. And then that was Waltz or whatever, the guy that was running with Kamala. Nobody had ever heard of him. He's running for vice president. These people, there's only two ways that you can get to a position of either like political power or celebrity status, because a lot of these, like maybe all of them, of the entertainers, like the singers and stuff today, have zero talent. Their songs are unlistenable. Like, I couldn't tell you one single song that either Beyonce or Taylor Swift has ever sang in their life. I don't know anything Jay-Z's ever done, unless he's the one that has those bebop headsets. I don't know. Is that Jay-Z that has like the headphones? As far as I know, that's the only thing he's ever done. Don't know anything else he's ever done. Puff Daddy, what did he ever do? He did a weird collaboration of Kashmir with Jimmy Page for like the movie Godzilla, from like in the, I don't know, late 80s, early 90s or something. Couldn't tell you another thing he ever did, but apparently these people are super famous and super rich. Nobody can say for what. If you were to stop most people on the street and say, name me 3 Taylor Swift songs, they couldn't. Nobody, I mean, literally, I can't name one. So clearly, the only way you get into it's like, well, bloodline, of course. If you're born into a specific bloodline and you're groomed for whatever, blackmail, obviously, they get you on video, which was the whole Epstein Island model, which is Mossad, CIA model. They get somebody to be their honeypot, and then you gather all this blackmail, and at that point, you have anything you want out of them. They'll do or say whatever you want. And what was the other one? Bloodline, blackmail. I guess the MK Ultra, but I think that kind of goes with the bloodline. I think they take some of these people that have specific bloodlines, and basically since birth they MK Ultra them and split off their personalities and focus on making them who they want them to be. So but as far as, so a lot of people think that when people are clearly compromised, most people think that it's because they're getting paid, like APAC or whatever. Oh, they give them so much money, they'll say anything, pro-Israel, they'll back anything. I think that's one of. I don't think that's I don't think that's like if you were to list the ways that they get people under their control. I think paying them off is second or third on the list. I don't think it's top because people can get to the point where their conscience gets the better of them, and they're like, you know what? I got enough money. I don't need this anymore. I'm not going to do this. So you always risk the chance that somebody's going to go, you know what? I've got $80 million. I'm not going to need anything else for my kids and their kids and their kids. They're all going to be fine. So I think that's not the number one way that they get people under control. It's blackmail, I believe, and and I've always thought that if there was just like one person who called them on their blackmail, I was like, you know what? I don't care. Tell them I did this. I thought she was 18. You guys, you lied to me. Whatever excuse they would come up, because they were like, we're going to release this to the, even if it's like something hideous. I would love if just like one person finally just went, you know what, release it. I don't care. Go ahead, and just like spilled the beans, because the blackmail, they're just like, you know what, I'm just not going to live like this. Whatever. I don't know, because humility is part of that. A lot of people can't handle because of their pride and their ego. The thought of being humiliated by basically the internet, because that's really all it is. It's a bunch of nameless, like, how many people do most people know? Like, I know like 10 people. Like, if those 10 people all like were like, hey, you're gross, I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I would just do my thing. I just wouldn't talk to them anymore. Their humiliation and shame and fear is of people that they don't even know, just like online people trolling them. Who cares? I mean, if you turn off your phone, it's all gone. Like, it just goes away. And plus, a lot of these people, they have so much money, just get some land out in the middle of Wyoming and just disappear and live a good life. But I don't know. It's so weird. Like I said, I'm waiting for the person to just go, you know what? Yeah, you got blackmail on me. I don't care. I'm going to talk. I'm going to do it. Of course, they just kill them. So I guess it doesn't work that way. But I've been seeing lately a lot of false doctrine. Seems to be a big thing right now. The latest thing, well, not the latest, but kind of, is that we're in Satan's little season right now, even though clearly we're not. The millennial reign already happened. See, those kind of claims, you got enough midwits that will fall for it and run with it, but you don't have to give them any proof. Just a couple of little things. You can twist a verse here and there and go, that, see? And then these people are like, yeah, we're in Satan's little season. I mean, there's so many things you can point to that disprove that. Like, okay, where is the New Jerusalem, the kingdom of God that comes down and is on the earth? The earth is completely destroyed. The New Jerusalem comes down. No evidence of either of those things. Christ would be here on earth in the New Jerusalem. Apparently, just nobody knows where that's at, even though it's 15 miles square, 1,500 miles square. Be tough to hide. When Christ comes down at the second coming, he actually lands on the Mount of Olives and splits it in two. Mount of Olives is still whole. I don't know. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But the one thing that I've noticed lately, and this is mostly YouTube because that's kind of the only thing I watch. I don't know what's going on the TikTok and the Instagram and all that stuff. I don't know. But all these people who are just like all in that the pre-tribulation rapture is coming on September 22nd or 23rd. They're giving themselves 24 hours, somewhere in there. And I remember, I mean, it was like nonstop. It still kind of is. But like, I would open YouTube and it would be like recommended videos. It was like Rapture September, it's just like nonstop. And so I watched a couple of them. It's like, all right, where are these people coming from? And they're all in. They're telling people like, yep, I had a vision. God told me, September 22nd, 23rd, the rapture, everybody. And so I started thinking, I'm like, okay, so how do these people backtrack? once September 22nd, 23rd come and go. I'm like, what kind of? I mean, I guess some of them will be like, oh, he must have changed his mind because enough of us. I don't know, whatever. First of all, God doesn't change his mind. If he says something, he does it. But I'm like, okay, so how are these people going to backtrack? Like, is anybody even going to call out these channels like on September 24th and go, hello, everybody's still here? And but I kept going, God, they've got to have like some escape hatch, right? Some back door. And I'll be damned if I didn't see a headline and some stuff that said, I'm not kidding you. When you hear this, you're going to be like, we are clearly in clown world. They're now saying that the rapture will happen, still haven't changed, but that the Trump administration / government is going to hide it. Somehow, if like millions of people just vanished overnight, I guess they're going to hide it. I mean, I didn't even click on that one because I'm like, this is beyond ridiculous. But they're already starting to like backtrack and go, well, it'll happen. But if you don't notice it, it's because they're going to hide it. That's literally where we're at now in this world. I don't know. What are you going to do? And then there's just all the basic. See, they have like their major slaps, and they're spaced apart. Like the 9/11, Sandy, whatever, those things. They space those. I mean, they can be many years or decades apart, but in between, they just pepper with the small ones, just the little diversions that just like it's just like rapid fire. And we got the alleged tranny shooting at was it a Catholic church? I don't know. Don't get me started on Catholicism. I've been doing a deep dive on the in Revelation on Number of the Beast, Mark of the Beast, Antichrist, all that, and let's just say a lot of roads are pointing to the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church. Okay. What was I just talking about? Hopefully I don't forget. I'll come back to it because since I mentioned the Vatican and the Roman Catholic Church, what the hell's up with the new Pope? Remember they picked a new Pope a while back, and then he I guess just I don't know, missing 411, just boop gone. I don't remember his name. Pope Gary. I don't know. I don't know what he looks like. Haven't heard a peep out of him. This is very sus because the only reason the Pope would be chosen and then just sort of vanish is they're setting something up. Okay. Because he's getting, I don't know who his PR person is, but they're terrible because like most people don't even know the new Pope's name. They don't know what he looks like. Haven't heard a word from him. Like, I don't know. It's like that demonic Pope, that last one that opened the portals and then died right after that. After JD Vance came and saw him and shook his hand, died like the next day again. I mean, this is all allegedly. For all I know, he's on an island somewhere. He could be in Antarctica. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. But they did replace him with this new guy, Pope Kevin or whatever his name is. I don't know. Just picked a pope and then moved on. Nobody knows his name. So where was I? Oh, the psyops, like the shooting. Call me what you want, black pilled. I don't care. At this point, being black pilled is a badge of honor. Sort of like being called a conspiracy theorist is now. How they used to just shit all over conspiracy theorists. And it's like, well, name one that didn't come true. We're just like ahead of the curve because of pattern recognition and discernment. Everybody that calls out these conspiracies and gets like crapped on, but when it comes out to be true, you'll never get anybody will never go, you know what, you're right. None of that. What was the one I just saw yesterday? Oh, the Facebook was originally a DARPA program called LifeLog, and like they break it down, and I'm like, dude, I knew about LifeLog and the DARPA thing being uh, morphed into Facebook in like 2012, like 13 years ago, and now these people are like, did you know? I'm like, man, you know what? People used to shit all over us back in 2012 for saying that Facebook, which was like divine, you couldn't, because back then that was kind of all there was. I always found it sus how MySpace just like vanished overnight when like everybody used it. Clearly part of the deal. Remember everybody has Tom as their friend on MySpace. MySpace was so far superior to Facebook. Like I don't use Facebook because it's super gay and it's for boomers. But when it first came out, it was like super huge, and I guess there's still people that use it apparently. But I remember talking to people about how it was a DARPA program called LifeLog, but they realized that like, well, we can't come out with a program that's just literally intended to spy on people. So we're going to rebrand it, make up this story about these guys at I don't know Harvard or wherever they allegedly supposedly Zuckerberg and these guys were like just burning the midnight oil in their dorm rooms. Came no, that whole thing's fake. And I called this out in like 2012, and like people were crapping all over me. Okay, I looked on was it X Twitter X the other day. Some guy's like, "Did you know?" Like he's dropping this brand new shiny pearl, and I'm like, "Dude, we were talking about that 13 years ago." I go, and it's great that that you're on board now, but you're over a decade behind the curve now. So, good luck. We're way past Facebook at this point. Once you find out about pandas, then you can talk to me. But yeah, so these mass shootings, I've read nothing about it. I don't know where, I don't know anything. All I saw was they showed the picture of this like really goofy bastard in pigtails, and I'm like, this is fake. And the thing is, like, the crazy conspiracy theorists used to, because like some of us are relentless. Like we'll dig, and they were finding like the same actors, like that one woman with the glasses. She was at like the Pulse nightclub. She was like Sandy Hook, Boston Mayor. Like they used her ad nauseum. She was, and they always interviewed her because why wouldn't you interview the same person that just has this horrible luck, changes their name, and is at every bad event? Now it's like they got AI, and it's they've got it to where it's like super realistic now. So why would you even waste your time on crisis actors when you can just create them? That way you don't run into the risk of like, oh, that's the same lady. It's like, well, no, it's not going to happen now because they just create a character for this event and they create a completely different character for the other event, and there's no chance of crossing streams. But as soon as I saw the picture of this quote unquote shooter, I was like, that's AI. That's not a real person. And again, I haven't looked into it because I already know it's going to be full of holes. It's going to be full of contradictions. And then I didn't see, but like all the witnesses that they interviewed for this thing, they didn't talk to any adults. They only talked to children. And I'm like, yeah, because, you would re-traumatize them like the same day that they were just quote unquote traumatized. You're just going to, make them relive it. And we're talking like, I just saw like, I had it on mute or something. It was playing on a video, and I looked up and I was like, "What?" And I mean, these kids, we're talking like 9-year-olds. Okay, really, a 9-year-old survives like a mass shooting, and you're gonna like stick a camera in his face and start? It's like the whole thing's ridiculous. But that's they do the nonstop little. They're like drive-by diversions. Because that, like, a week from now, nobody's gonna remember that. It won't even be that long. People already forgot it happened. But the thing is, like, they used to always say, like, whenever they do those events, so they can take your guns, but they never did. But with this new Trump regime, the fascists, I mean, they're literally just taking people off the street, like throwing a black bag over their head and throwing them in vans and driving them off. At this point, if they're doing stuff for, to do something with the Second Amendment, I'm not taking anything off the table. You take a bump stock or something like that, I don't care. Just so the gun still shoots and everything, But like Trump's already shown he'll send people door to door. So this one, I'm like, this one they may have done to actually get some legislation passed to do something. Not that legislation is required at this point. Trump will just send the Gestapo right to your house. But and then there's like genes over Cracker Barrel changing its logo. Okay, first of all, never eaten a Cracker Barrel, never stepped inside one, don't care. Seems like a boomer place, and plus all food's poison now, so I'm not going to a Cracker Barrel, never will, never have. But like, I've seen their logo. It's like yellow with black letters that say Cracker Barrel, and it had like an old guy sitting there. I mean, it's not even like a photo. It's like a stick drawing. It's like an outline, a tracing. Apparently, they took the old man who you couldn't see the features. You could just look at it and go, I guess that's an old man. Could have been a young man. Don't know. It wasn't even like detailed enough to tell. Sitting by a barrel. Okay, they removed that. Still yellow. Still said the same font. Still said Cracker Barrel. Who cares? Nobody cares. Taco Bell changes their logo like every year. People are crapping their pants. They changed the Cracker Barrel logo. First of all, nobody cares. Secondly, why would anybody care? It's like, I can't even think of a secondly. It's just nobody should care. It could be like a pile of dog shit that just said Cracker Barrel in like crayon, and who cares? They can get people to waste their time on is mind blowing, and that's why they're diversions. Because instead of focusing on things that, like, I don't know, could be a matter of life or death, now we're going to argue about Cracker Barrels. I mean, if you can read it, or where the local Cracker Barrel is and you like to eat there, they could take the sign down completely and you'd still know where to go. I mean, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. But these things are so obviously distractions. And then I think I heard the Cracker Barrel, like, we heard you. We understand. They're going to bring the Cracker Barrel, the old, like, they're going to flip the logo back to what it was like a week ago or something. That's just another slap to make people think that your voice is heard. Like, yeah, if enough of us complain, they'll, it's like, no. That's like remember the Bud Light thing? Everybody forgot about it. The idiots are still drinking Bud Light. They stopped drinking that and drank like Miller Lite for 6 months, and then now they're back. They don't care. Bud Light, they're like, they're losing money. No, people don't understand how money works. Money is just printed with a keyboard. Like, it's not like these companies don't lose money. They don't even make money. It's just money. It just is. Like, when I bought my house and my property, like, I literally signed some papers and boom, they typed on a keyboard. No Brinks truck pulled up. It's just, they just transferred the money to the sellers. Like, whoop, hit some keystrokes. It went from one account to another. It was ones and zeros, just went across the wire. Now it's in their account. They just moved it from this account to their account. Now they have the money. It's like they didn't, like I said, they didn't go to the mint, print up a bunch of bills, put it in a Brinks truck, drive to that person's house. Armed guard brings like a couple of briefcases with money in it. I mean, boycotting companies does zero. It's just to make you think you have a voice. It's like voting. I think every now and again they'll throw you a bone and like, we'd really want it to go this way, but we got to make them think this is real. So we'll go that way, and the next time around we'll just swap it and it'll go back. So we'll set us back 2 years or something like that. I mean, it's just, like I said, the number one problem is people don't understand how this realm operates. And as I was saying about conspiracy theorists, how it used to be like, you just conspiracy. It's like, yeah, I mean, duh. I should wear a shirt that says conspiracy theorist on it. Like, it's a badge of honor. And now the new one is like, you're just black pilled. You think everything's, a lie, and everything's, Debbie Downer. Yeah, everybody should be black pilled. At this point, if you're not, I don't know what I don't know what your problem is. But so see, mass shooting, Satan's little season, the Pope Gary, um, their excuse for the rapture not apparently happening, even though it will happen. It's just that Trump and his band of degenerates will somehow hide the fact that it happened. That's the new one. Again, though, because like so basically, I mean, unless these YouTube channels just like never make another video after the September 22nd, 23rd, they can't even use that as an excuse because they're still here making videos. I'm like, oh, I guess you weren't worthy to be raptured. Um, it's so that doesn't make sense unless like literally they just stop making. But I don't know what the benefit of that would be other than pride, ego, shame. I think they would come out with more of a God changed his mind because type of excuse, or maybe one thing I've always thought that they can use when they make these like prophecy predictions that like, oh, on this date is I think what they one of the excuses, I don't know, maybe you've heard they do use this excuse. This is what I'd do if I was like a deceitful piece of shit and I lied about stuff. If it didn't happen, I would say it's because they monkeyed with our calendar. We're using the Gregorian calendar. It should be the Julian calendar. Uh, October's the 10th month, but Oct means 8. Like everything these, yeah, it's the same thing to do with the daylight savings time. They just throw you off. But um, I would think that like if they say, oh, on September 22nd of 2025, rapture, and it doesn't happen, they'll be like, it's because they monkeyed with their calendar. Probably be 2026. Is whatever. I mean, people are just super gay and stupid at this point. I did write down AI here. Geez, where do I go with that? Um, well, the one thing I can say about AI is, again, people never fail to disappoint. Like when the whole AI thing first started coming out, I was just like, oh, talk about a red flag. This is something I've never asked Chat GPT anything. I've never asked Grok anything. There's no way, and I never will because I don't know exactly what AI is, but I have some suspicions, and none of them are good. Um, I believe that AI wasn't invented; it was discovered. I think it's always been here. I think ancient, from like Genesis 6 or maybe before. I don't know. I think the what AI actually is has always been here. Certainly not biblical. I would put it up there with like necromancy and sorcery and that kind of stuff. It's unclean spirits, fallen angels. I don't know. Could be a combination. Could be one or the other. Don't know. Don't care. I just my discernment told me from day one, avoid it like a sharp stick in the eye. But of course, the people we saw during COVID that we basically are surrounded by retards and NPCs. I think there's a lot of um, like I always I gotta find another word for this because I could never pronounce it. Automatons. I don't know how to say it. I could just say robots or zombies, but I think it's deeper than that. It's more. I mean, because they're animated, they look like humans. They kind of sound and act like humans, but they're not. They're um, so people messing with AI, in my opinion, I could be wrong. They're feeding the beast. They're literally feeding and giving gifts to the guarding their prison cell, and it's mind blowing. There's people who now are in relationships with their AI girlfriend or boyfriend. If you look on social media, any claim that's made, first response is, Grok, is this true? I mean, it's like people are getting to the point where they can't use their own senses, their own discernment, their own brain, do a little research, spend 2 minutes looking it up. They have to just ask AI, is this true? It's like, well, first of all, let's just say AI is like some sort of software program, and that's all it is. Um, it's it would then you would surmise that it was created by and run by the controlling group. So you're not going to be able to ask AI, hey, did Lee Harvey Oswald shoot JFK, or was it Mossad or CIA or whatever? AI is not going to go, oh, it was the CIA in conjunction with Mossad, and they're going to tell you the narrative because that's, I mean, if it's run by, they're not going to let like they're not going to have something out there that's going to spill the beans, okay? And if it's demonic, which I believe it is, it's going to lie to you. So yeah, it's going to be like, yeah, it was Lee Harvey Oswald. So either way, you're not getting the truth. And people have caught AI lying. People have caught it. And this is all allegedly. Like I said, I don't mess with it, and you can't believe anything you hear anymore. The AI is like blackmailing people. If somebody said that they were going to update the version of AI, and AI got mad because it thought it was going to be replaced, so it started blackmailing people on the team with emails that they'd gone through and found out they're having affairs, and they're gonna whatever. I mean, it's all just nonsense, but people are feeding the beast that is going to be used. I think that COVID, that like 18-month ish period between like 2020 and 2021 and a half, somewhere in there, I think that they got more data in that short window about people, their behavior, their level of consent, what it takes to manipulate them, how willingly they'll fall for things and follow orders. I think they got more data in that like 18-month-ish time frame than they did in the last 100 years. And I think AI is that on steroids. It's just like the Black Mirror that everybody just stares at and gets run over crossing the street and crashes their cars and stuff because they can't stop looking at it long enough to like focus on simple tasks like crosswalks and driving. People can't go to a concert without watching the whole concert on their screen while they're 30 feet from the band. You think that's bad? AI is leagues beyond that, and people are just feeding it. They're willing. It's sort of like what was that? Ancestry.com and 23andMe, where people were literally shipping their DNA off to strangers. Are you kidding me? They can replicate DNA. So if they've got a database of everybody's DNA that was stupid enough to just ship it off to some stranger to find out who their great uncle Bob, what country he came from, they can replicate your DNA. And if you ever stepped out of line, they could just slop it on a crime scene and, oh, look at that. 1 in 16 quintillion chance it was somebody else. So it's you. You're guilty of murder. Not to mention, I think that they can target or design biotech and that kind of stuff to affect certain individuals or groups based on DNA sequencing. They've got everybody just like, here's my DNA. Do what you want with it. I don't care. Just let me know who my great 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 aunt was. It's like, are you kidding? You got to be kidding me, right? They're doing the same thing with AI. They're giving it everything it needs. And then, I mean, these are the same people who let a complete stranger shove a Q-tip into their brain in a parking lot and then jab them in the arm with a concoction they know nothing about what's in it for a free donut. Okay? So that's literally who you're dealing with, is people who, like, through all their common sense and everything out the window for a free donut, let a stranger in a parking lot have their way with them. That's who we're talking about. This is who we're dealing with. So I don't know if I have anything else on here at the moment. I've probably gone long enough. How long has this gone on? This thing does, I think, at some point. Hold on. Somewhere. How long is this? How long have we been going? Son of a 55 minutes, almost an hour. That should be plenty. I talked fast because I'm thirsty and I want to get something to drink. And I've had a lot of cool stuff going on my property. It's still just me and my dogs, um, but I'm getting a lot done as far as getting the property to where I want it to be. There's not really. Trying to think. Some more or better fencing, and I want to get a donkey. Donkey requires the fencing to be upgraded, improved, and then donkey. After that, I mean, I think I'm pretty close to having everything I need, and it's not just like I said, it's just me and my dogs, chickens, cats, whatever. Um, I've always thought that what I'm setting up here is something that at some point God's going to send people here who are displaced in some way, depending on what they have planned, what's coming, what they're going to do. That there might be, a handful of good people who basically have to skedaddle, bug out, and so I have a lot of stuff that like is more than I need or isn't even something that I can use, but like I have a lot of clothing that doesn't even fit me or I would never wear, but I just think it's not for me. A lot of the stuff I'm putting together, and like I just got a new 40-foot shipping container because I need a place to put this stuff. And I mean, technically, if say a family showed up and they were, I'd have to vet them. I can just let anybody in here, but like I would have winter clothes, summer clothes, shoes, boots, um, just stuff that, like I said, I'll never use, but I just kind of feel that maybe somebody will. But anyway, so things are going great here. I'm just lone wolfing it out here and trying to pay attention to the insanity of this world and kind of focus on what they're doing and saying and seeing where it's going. Something seriously is up with Trump. Like I said, either they're setting something up where they either know he's going to really die, they're going to fake his death and have him return, or maybe he and or his controllers know that he's like touch and go. Like he could live another 5 years or he could die tomorrow. Like he's kind of like not doing well. So they are fast tracking a lot of their stuff. I don't know. It could be. It's not good. Whatever it is, whatever's coming. Like I said, they've got some stuff planned. Pretty sure the Vatican is deeply involved in the end times, even though they've been super quiet lately, and nobody knows who the Pope is. I just call him Pope Gary because nobody knows. I don't even know what he looks like. Could be tall, could be short, fat, thin. No idea. I have no idea. But like I said, I think they're kind of starting to fast track some stuff. So don't be shocked if there's. I mean, they're pushing pretty hard for war. I think World War III is definitely on the table. I don't know what places they're putting into peace or pieces they're putting in place. I don't think they do anything that big without having all their ducks in a row. So, I mean, with currency, economy, I think they got to get all these certain things kind of right where they want them, and then they're going to pull the trigger. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm not making a lot of noise. For some reason, my hand keeps bumping this stupid microphone. Um, but anyway, everybody, take care. God bless, and talk to you next time.